Downing, and what a great family the Downings have been across the Berkshires for such a long period of time. And I'm also reminded that if you worked in my office, you knew something about constituent work. Just to share, I think, a light moment. What's noteworthy about this occasion is that 3 congressmen have decided they're keeping Cindy Clark, and we just changed the names on the door of the Congress. Dan Johnson is going to join the staff here. Dan did a great job in my campaign, and I must tell you that I think that a campaign is about forming a government, and you do see resolve that's tested in the course of a campaign. And, you know, I was a foot soldier in the organization of Congressman Boland. I interned in his office, and 16 years later, I was the congressman. And I worked for Bill Sullivan as a staffer for 5 years. I called him last week, he's in Florida, and I say, congratulations. He said, for what? I said, 40 years ago today, you got elected mayor. And I learned it from the bottom up, the grassroots up. When people call these constituent offices, they deserve an answer. Gina Hearn is here, and Gina's been with me for 30 years. She was in the mayor's office with me, and she's been in the congressional office with me now, headed to the 25th year. I served with Congressman Conti, and I served with Congressman Olver as well. One funny, amongst the many Silvio Conti stories, I made the mistake one time of accepting an invitation to speak in Holyoke at a Memorial Day service without letting him know that I was going to be in his constituency. You can only imagine the reaction. So I had invited him to speak to the Chamber of Commerce that was in town from Pioneer Valley. And I got this terse note from him saying, of course I'll be there. I'm glad you invited me because I would never think of speaking to your constituents without letting you know first. And Mike Sheehy, who was my chief of staff, who became the chief of staff to the House Intelligence Committee, he said to me, we got a problem with Conti. So I went over to him on the floor to offer apologies, and of course, if you recall, he was always decked out in stripes, checks, and crazy-looking ties. And well, he said to me, look, pal, he said, there's 2 things people ask when you're in my district. 1, why are you there? And 2, where the hell am I? I remember looking at him and saying, gotcha. This won't happen again. But it takes me to this period of time where I think before instant communication and the advance of technology, you're going to know something about me. I like shaking your hand and looking you in the eye. That's the system I came through. And I return phone calls. My staff will tell you over all of these years that one of the joys that I have taken, the toughest letters I get, the toughest emails I get, they get a phone call. Tomorrow on a snow day, a lot of people are going to get phone calls from me. People have canceled appointments for tomorrow already, so I'm going to sit in that office and call them up. And you'd be amazed the different approach they take when they're talking to the congressman as opposed to talking to a staffer. But you know what? It's not a hollering or bickering session. Tell me what you think. And staying on the phone and going back and forth with them is very important. I don't know that there's a member of Congress that has sent more personal notes out to people, genuinely with gratitude, with great gratitude. I've had a chance to serve in an institution, as I've indicated, headed to the 25th year, where in the history of our nation, less than 12,000 men and women have served. So for the young women that are here, your chance of playing on the Professional Women's Golf Tour is better than your chance of ever winning a seat in Congress. And for Dan and others that are here, your chances of playing Major League Baseball are better than your chances of ever winning a seat in the House of Representatives. I've never lost sight of the fact that I serve in the same institution that Abe Lincoln served in. I sit on the same committee that James Madison served on. In my lifetime, Jack Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, and George Bush Sr. all served in the House of Representatives. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and George W. Bush all ran for the House and got beat. Boy, do we remind them of that. You were good enough to go to the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue. And I call that to your attention because this is your office. And as I embraced you, and on Election Day you embraced me, one of the things that stands out in my mind is the number of times people would say to me, "You're going to keep that congressional office." I said, "I sure am. This is your office. If you want to get a hold of me, you're going to make the first call here, stop by." Cindy's had long experience, started in 1986 with Silconti, and worked with my friend John Over, and Silconti was a pal as well. And it was a very different Congress that we all went to in those days. You should know that. Very different. We were actually friends. And we dined together, we talked frequently, even if we came from different parts of the divide. Didn't mean you didn't hold on to your principles and your beliefs, but not every issue is Armageddon. And finding a path forward is important to all members of the American family. And I'm reminded that Mayor Alcombright has joined us. I tend to be a frequent visitor to North County as well. And former Rep. Sherwood Guernsey, who I took great satisfaction driving past that law office and seeing a Neil sign in that front lawn. I said, "This is commitment."
Along with the Red Sox sign.
So thanks to all of you, and I intend to be here all the time. Who wouldn't want to spend their time in the Berkshires? It's just grand.